I'm rolling with FD.
I am rolling with SD.
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
We are rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
We got alphas and bros in the house.
That's right.
Peace out, my brother.
Woo!
I'm rolling with the F to the D.
Learn something new every day when you're rolling with FD.
We are rolling with FD, baby.
I roll with one person, and that's FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
You gotta love it, man.
Hey, Renee, who you rolling with?
Rolling with FD.
Hey, Matt.
Rolling with FD.
You don't have to ask. I'm rolling with FD.
My man, C. Bless. Who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
That's how you just rolling, right? That's the whole thing, right? You roll with it.
I'm rolling with FD.
Manny and Jeremy, who you rolling with?
We're rolling with FD. We don't want to get our asses kicked.
My man, Dan, the card man. I appreciate you, dog. You gotta let the people know who you rolling with.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
Chasing Cardboard is rolling with FD.
Rolling with FD.
What's up, everybody? I'm super excited today. Today is Monday. We got a little rain going on here in Southern California, but we have a special guest I want to talk to for a while. I just told her backstage I've heard great things about her. Can't wait to get to know her. We have Sarah, Mrs. Squirt. Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not a whole lot. I heard you saying you have some rain. We have snow.
And where are you? What state are you in?
Montana.
Oh, you're in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we have some rain here.
Yeah, we have well, it hasn't snowed in like, I don't know, a while, but we're supposed to get quite a bit tonight and then it'll melt off again. So
I think it's supposed to rain the beginning of this week, maybe today and tomorrow. And then after that, we're going to be in much better weather.
well, that's not for us until probably May or June, but you get what you get.
Montana, how long have you lived in Montana?
Only 3 years. We moved here from Portland, so E's dad has 6 generations here, so we're just adding to the generations.
Okay. All right, real cool. Now, I always start with an intro story.
Uh-oh.
Tell me about how you started with cars in general. It could be TCG, it can be sports cars. How did you first get introduced to the hobby?
Well, I mean, that was back in what, like 1999, back in when, Pokemon was huge. And I wish I still had those. I say that on almost all the podcasts. People ask me that question. It's like, man, I'd be a billionaire right now if I would have kept those. But I got rid of them like everybody else or destroyed them. But that, I mean, I've always been a collector. I've collected those. I've collected Pogs when those were big. And then I've just been into sports, and I've collected sporadically. It wasn't anything that I was doing hardcore. I collected Beanie Babies, huge Beanie Baby fan there for the longest time.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I would say that the actual sporting collecting was probably when I met E about 15 years ago.
Okay.
And he had always kind of like opened a pack here and there. And so he got me into opening a pack. We'd go to the dollar store and there'd be like, gravity packs or whatever. And we'd take some home and rip them and whatnot. And it kind of the excitement builds when you don't know what you're chasing, but it's the thought of, oh, what are you going to pull? And football's always been kind of my forte. I'm a Giants fan, and I'm married to a Cowboys fan. And so that's always been my thing. I've always loved football. And so it kind of just progressed. It got probably worse, if you want to say. We started opening more and more and more. And then in 2018, we're getting ready to have our second kid. And I was just like, hey, let's do something. And one of our friends said, "Hey, you'd be really good at braking." And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." Um, and like, "Oh, you do this and this." And they kind of explained it to me, and I still had no clue. And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll try it." And I just kind of went with it. And here we are now, what, 7 years later, 6 years later. And I just haven't looked back. I've kind of just gone multiple avenues off of what we've started, and I can't be upset about it. But yeah, I think that's where it started, was when I was young with Pokemon. Bad, very bad in Pokemon, but I've always been a collector of something.
And what do you like about breaking?
For me, it's the thrill of pulling something big for somebody else. I'm very huge on wanting everybody else to do good and to, you know, get what they want out of the breaks. And it's like, yes, there's risk and reward in everything you do in life, but I try to, I guess, minimize the amount of risk by like, hey, let's make it a little cheaper, a little bit more affordable, more reasonable, so that you're not out, thousands of dollars on a box. Or now it's a box, back then it was a case. And so like it was kind of, that's why it was a thrill. It was a thrill of ripping. You can say it's an addiction, I guess, like opening cards. But it's fun for me, and I don't need any of them. So for me, it's like being able to be like, okay, this is going to so and so means more to me than me having to buy that product and wanting it for myself and whatnot. So that's just kind of how I've been, though. My whole life has just been, I like seeing other people happy, and I like to bring that happiness to them. And so it's just another form of doing that. Sometimes. Now there's plenty of not happy customers, but
That's true.
for the most part, it's happy.
Big John says, "How you doing?"
How am I doing? I'm doing
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
So let me ask you this. One question I want to ask you. A lot of people. Let me say this: there are a few people in the hobby that have negative things to say about breakers.
Yep.
I'm just going to ask you an open-ended question. What do you think about that? You tell me your interpretation of the knock that breakers get, because I believe every part of the ecosystem is very much important. I say this all the time. There are many cards that I have in my PC I would never have if someone didn't break them and bring them out into the community, and then they wound up in FD's hands. But let me know what you think when you hear the negative connotations associated with breaking.
So I personally don't care. Like when it's like negativity at all throughout the hobby, if it's towards somebody, directly, I don't take offense to it, and I don't personally feel as it's an attack on me, or as a breaker. Nobody should take offense to anything that's said. Everybody has the right to say what they want and do what they want. But I feel like people just take it they're just way too sensitive at times. And I'm not, like, I just don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if people um like me or don't like me. I say that very, very lightly because I do care. But it's like, if you're gonna be negative towards me, then I'm not gonna care, And um I just kind of keep my nose clean. Like, I don't get involved with the back and forth of whatever's going on in the hobby. But I do agree with you 110%. I believe that there is a ecosystem, like you said. I think that's an amazing analogy for this. It's We don't survive without each other, whatever aspect that is. If it's a card shop, if it's the producers of the products, if it's the distributors, if it's the breakers, or the mom and pop shops that are just barely hanging on because the big ones have come in. We all have a role in this. Now, is there more breakers than there was when I started? Oh, yes. But I still think that it's key that we all are one, or we all try, because just like you said, boxes sit on shelves for years. And then what? there's no value to it, because if there's no value from breaking or opening the boxes, you don't even have to put breaking on it, just opening it. It's like, then what? You're not bringing that into the hobby. We're not seeing that. We're not refueling this ecosystem.
True.
So I think that breaking is a very loose term. For me, I enjoy breaking. But to me, it's just opening product for other people and enjoying that, which I know is the definition of breaking. But I I just think that we could do so much more and go so much further in this hobby if all the negative that we put towards everybody involved just went a different direction and we just work together, because that's the only way we're gonna work, is if we all work together in some form.
That's true. And just so you know about me, I'm not really concerned about the negative stuff that I hear. I think when we first started the channel, people would ask me all the time, well, FT, why don't you talk about like recently with the Richardson autograph that's not PSA said it wasn't accurate. They didn't say it was false. They said it wasn't accurate to the history of his signature. I just don't spend a lot of time on that.
Right. Because why? What does that do? What does that do for you as
I
a
think
person?
people should be aware. I think people should be aware.
Agree.
I support those who make content on that. I support
Agreed.
all of that. But if it's about what am I about to do, it's just a different concept. I spend more of my time on, really we started the channel to showcase women, children, people of color within the hobby. And we started the channel to show what I do trying to build my PC. And those are the things those are the 4 aspects that I really focus in on. And I salute everyone else that does what they do, but just not what I do.
Because that's what brings you joy. And I think that's what's important, is like, if we start, I don't want to say conforming, but like trying to mold ourselves into something we're not going to enjoy it. And it's going to push you away from it. And so for me, it's like, I do what I like and I do what I enjoy, so that it's fun for everybody involved. It's not just a one-sided, oh, I'm getting paid, which I don't. Like, I really don't. At the end of the day, I do my breaks almost at cost, just because I want people to enjoy the hobby. I want the collector to enjoy collecting. And so it's like, I don't know, maybe that's where I'm different than other breakers, is that I do it for the people. And I care, and it brings me joy to do it, as opposed to just doing it for the dollar signs or notoriety.
Yes. So let people know where they can find your breaks at. How can they find Mrs. Squirts?
So right now, I am working on my YouTube channel. I'm not great with technology. So I'm working on that, but for now it is at my Instagram account, which is Mrs. Squirts _cards. It used to be on my email, or excuse me, my website, but I moved website domains, and so it's just not feasible.
All right. So now tell us about, I know you go to shows. What shows do you go to? And how far do you travel when you do go?
Well, anywhere out of Montana is far. So I've been to the National, 3 years now? And so this will be my 4th. I'm going to the National in Cleveland. But I was just in Atlanta at Cards HQ, where I saw you. And then we've gone to Idaho and Washington. But we actually put on a show ourselves. And when there's actually, between myself and another store, which I'm not actually a physical store, but a physical storefront down in Missoula holds a show twice a year, like the same 2 months that we do it as well. So it's just the best time in Montana. But so other than that, like, I haven't really. Someone once told me that. My God, my light's gonna keep going off.
Oh, you're fine.
Someone once told me that if you're a breaker, you shouldn't be traveling for shows. There's no benefit in it. And I said, well, I travel to shows because I like to network. I like to meet people. I've met so many great people in this hobby that I still call family to this day, and will if there's ever a day I decide, hey, I want to walk away from it. So I think you just got to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
I personally can't travel as much because of my spinal surgery that I had 2 years ago.
Mhm.
It requires I always need somebody to help me because I can't lift too much because of it.
Mhm.
And I also have two younger kids in school, so it's dynamically it's not okay at times. Um, but we do the national as a family now, and
Okay.
that's last year was our first one. It was a lot of work, but our kids loved it, and to see it through our kids' eyes was more amazing than anything else. Like I don't have to go to any other show if my kids are enjoying, you know, if I can't take my kids, is basically. Oh, we went to the Mint. I forgot about that. That was last year too. We went to the
Okay.
Mint as well, but it's just kind of I don't want to sound like what's worth the cost to do it too, because these aren't cheap. And
True.
for us to travel, the furthest I've gone, Atlantic City. We went to the National, and that was it was a long trip.
Yeah, that was a lot. Yeah, I can imagine that is a long trip. The nationals that you've been to, which is your favorite site that you've
Oh,
been
Chicago.
to? Okay.
I mean Chicago the first year that I went. So Chicago last year was okay. I was extremely busy. I just went the whole time. I don't think I actually saw the whole show front because I didn't have time. I was busy doing something, and then it was just a really weird setup because they added all the extra um, like hallways and whatnot, and it kind of made it really confusing.
Yeah. It took me the third day of me being there to know where I was. If I would have saw you and you stopped me and said, "Do you know where you are right now?" I would not have
Yep.
known. Yeah.
Well, and they're always like, "Hey, yeah, just let everybody know that you're in the Breakers Pavilion." I was like, "And where the heck is that?"
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
they're like, "Exhibit Hall F." Well, where's that? They're like, "Next to Starbucks." Okay, thank you. Like that's how I work. I work where there's drinks or there's food. But so it was just kind of like Atlantic City was the worst by
I've heard
far.
that. I've heard that. I didn't attend, but I heard that.
You didn't miss anything. But it was fun. We still had fun. We still enjoyed ourselves. I think I actually did my biggest sales ever at the Atlantic show, but it was just hard to try to do a sale because there's no service and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it's just Chicago. I'm excited to see what Cleveland's all about.
Mhm.
That will be fun. Hopefully, I actually have family in Cleveland or Ohio, so we're gonna make a trip out of it.
And I think you're not that far away from the NFL Hall of Fame if you're interested. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
And
is
that's what
right
I'm
there.
doing.
Yeah, so you should be fine. I won't be able to make it this year, but I will live vicariously through you, Mrs. Squirts.
Okay, you do that. You let me know, and I'll go live just for you.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, talk to us about some of the most memorable cards that you have broken. They don't have to be the most valuable, but stuff that you really, when you think about it, you like, now that was nice.
So back in 2019, when I was able to buy 15 cases of Flawless for the price of one case nowadays, um, I actually pulled the Aaron Rodgers jeweled shield 1 of 1 on card auto out of it. And to me, there's just something about that when you hold it in your hand and you look at it and you're just like, holy cow, the time, the effort, how aesthetically pleasing it is, how just looking at it from just the view of that. Like for me, I like cards that are like grab my attention. They could
Mm-hmm.
be a base card for all I care, but if it grabs my attention, like I'm like, okay, yes. And that was a card that grabbed my attention. But if we're gonna talk about most memorable, it's gonna be actually not a card. So they used to have these big, I don't know what they called them, cases, I guess, of like random autographed memorabilia. So it could be like basketball, footballs,
Mm-hmm.
UFC gloves. It was just a smorgasbord. And I remember buying one, and And E was like, "How are you going to fill this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I have no clue." Because what do? There's 15 items in there. So we did a snake draft or whatever it was. I can't remember how it was, or random the names and then random the items. Well, we had one spot in it because one spot didn't fill. And I was like, okay, well, we'll take it. That's fine. There was a Kobe signed auto ball with silver Sharpie. But what got me and was just kind of like, it really hit home. This was right after he passed away. Um, it the TriStar cards come where it says like they're born when they're born, and then information about them. It says, Kobe Bryant, born on this date, 10-time ring, whatever. It also had his death on it. And so in my mind, it was like, wow, this product was made right after he died.
Mm-hmm.
Because to have that death date on there, it just, I don't know, it hit me. It actually hit my husband and I really, really at the core, because it's like, you see it all the time, but it had just happened.
Yeah.
And for that product to come out and for that ball to be in there and to have that card, and I still have it. I mean, obviously, I'm not getting rid of it. But it's just, that to me was the most memorable, because it just makes you value life more, and just how quick this ball went out. And then especially since, his autographs were kind of put, taken away or whatever.
Yeah, they
So to
were.
have a ball that's autographed, that's authenticated, and to have that card with it, I don't know. There's just something about it, and it always hits your feelers and kind of makes you think about life.
Understood. Big John has a question here. What's your favorite breaking format?
Format or okay, so like pick your team. So I kind of mix between the two. I do like pick your team. It's a lot easier. It's just you can pick whatever you want, and then we're good to go. But I also like the randomizing too, where it's kind of like you pick one, get 2 or 3 or 4, whatever the breakdown is per product.
Mm-hmm.
But I have come to realize that pick your team is a lot easier on me as a breaker than it is when it is pick 1, get 3, and all the other stuff. But I like any type of format. I've tried all of them. So it's not really, I'm not really, I don't know, not one way or the other. It just depends on the product, I guess, and how many hits are in the product for me to determine what format I do. Because if there's a product that we're doing only has 20 cards in it, then it's going to be random names and randomizing the cards, because there's no point in trying to float it, I guess.
So, tell us your favorite product to break.
Not with price, yeah. Being an issue. Man. So I love, like I said, I like pretty things. So Sapphire in any type of Topps product gets my attention every year. Don't care what sport's on it. Don't care. It's Sapphire and it's beautiful. So that's one. The other one would be then Spectra. I'm a huge Spectra nerd. I love Spectra basketball, football. And if it's just clean cut, I think there's a lot of products that can be amazing. It's just the quality assurance is not.
Understood. What did you think of Cards HQ when you walked in originally in Atlanta and looked around? What did you think of the shop?
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you walk in, I don't think I had any expectations of what it was going to be like, but I know that in the back of my mind, it's supposed to be something big. Obviously, it's 14,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
But to actually see all the fine detail put together, they did an amazing job.
Right? Well thought through. Thought
very, 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 very thought. I have never seen a car shop like that in my life, nor do I think I'll see another one in my lifetime. But there's just it's very, and I know it's brand new and people are going to say, well, of course it's clean, but there's something about it's not overly junky feeling.
Oh yeah,
So you,
I agree.
it's very clean in that aspect of like eye appeal. When you walk in, it's like you've got all your Pokemon on one section, and then your Lorcana, and then they have all those stands. People haven't been there yet. That they have locked in of graded cards that you can walk through and look at, or um, non-graded as well. And it kind of gives you, as a customer, the ability to just kind of weave throughout the whole store and just soak it in. And that's what I did. It was just kind of like one of those things where you didn't have to stand behind a counter
True.
and wait to get help. You could walk around and look and figure out what you wanted. And then, yes, you still had to get help to get it out, but still, it was kind of like, and they were on it too. So, like, for me, I just think it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. Besides the VIP event, I went there actually in the morning and met with the crew and whatnot, um and sold some cards that I brought, but and bought a lot of product too. But it's just like it's breathtaking. I don't know how else. I'm speechless. I was speechless when I walked in, and then
Yeah, I thought it was the way they're mixing technology
agree.
with retail floor space, and I work in retail, and you can also tell that the space is modular. So probably what we saw during that VIP night won't be the case in 3 months.
Right,
If they
because
want
it's
to
so
make changes,
easy.
yeah, if they want to tweak, make changes, change certain areas, they
Yep.
can do that with no problem. I noticed that as soon as I walked in. So
I think it, like I said, I know everybody's gonna come at me and say, "Oh, it's brand new, it's clean," but it's a sense of aesthetically clean, and is aesthetically pleasing, and so I think they did an amazing job, and I only hope the best for them, and like I can't wait to go back. Hopefully, in a couple of months, I'll be going back to the ATL.
just think about if you said, "Hey, I want to do a break." You're there breaking.
Yep.
If you said, I just bought a box of cards and I want to rip," and
Yep.
I'm short some penny sleeves. I'm short top loader. They got them for you.
They have
Uh,
everything. They
if you,
literally
yeah, if you
everything.
want to go live from there, you're in there. And I know some of the stuff you can do at other shops. It's just interesting to be able to almost do from A to Z under one roof at
And they
any
have like
given point in time.
submissions now too.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like you literally can see it from A to Z. You can see it from the moment it comes into the store to the moment it goes out for grading. I mean, if you think about it, it lessens the amount of hands involved outside of the store. It also lessens the risk of shipping. Um, and so, no, I think they did an amazing job. I think that Jeff Wilson and his crew definitely found every corner of the market that needed to be utilized into one shop. That's for sure.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
I feel like we already know each other here. Why do you think Jeff gets some hate?
Honestly, I have no clue. Other than the fact that he's successful, maybe I personally don't know, and I've asked somebody that before, just because it's
Hmm.
like for me, I like to at least sometimes know,
Yeah,
but I'm not going to get involved.
yeah.
And nobody can give me a straight answer, and honestly, I don't know. I think it's because he puts himself out there. I think that, you know, whatever it is, obviously somebody else knows, but I also know that there's also a lot of people that like to just go after people and try to destroy their reputation and who they are. And so I don't have a clue.
I don't
And
either. I don't.
and
I
it
don't.
doesn't even like I feel bad, if you allow those type of negative comments to really harbor inside of you. I feel bad for the person that's being attacked, but I don't even know. Like I don't even know if I wish that I knew, because I just don't know. I just stay out of the spotlight.
I agree. I agree with that. Do you grade cards? And if so, who do you grade with?
I've actually just started doing that. Well, I personally grade, yes, for myself, but I'm also going to start taking. There's some people that would like me to send in for them
Okay.
and do that. But I've done all of them. I did hybrid when it first came out, HGA. Wasn't really happy with their customer service. I know they've evolved since then, but just haven't gone back. Not really a huge fan of their. I used to like their colored labels. I thought those were really cool. Just not really a fan of it anymore. But mainly PSA, Beckett, and SGC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have one that you favor over others, and why?
PSA. I do favor it over the others. SGC, I've just kind of recently gotten into them. I have a lot more vintage now, and I asked, I think I asked him, I don't know if I asked Manny, that might not have been the person, but I
Okay.
asked somebody that, where do you send your cards? Like, who's going to know how to grade the card? And I was told that SGC was the good one for vintage. So I use them for my vintage cards. I use Beckett for my thick card. I use PSA for everything in between. And then I haven't done CGC yet, but but they would be the next one for Pokemon. But I usually send it with PSA for those.
I myself, I've sent most of my cards to PSA. I've sent a few or submitted a few with Beckett.
I mean, I feel like my grades have just been crap though lately. Not lately. I haven't sent anything in a while, but I've never seen fives before, and I feel like I don't know. And they weren't fives because first off, I'm not wasting my time or their time. I'm not wasting my money if it's not going to grade. And so some things obviously happen either with them reviewing it, and I know there's been issues with that in the past with other people. So I don't know. It's really hard. If I have a really, really expensive card, or in my mind it's expensive, that could be a $10 card for all I care.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will take it to the National and get it graded on site and take it home same day. I will pay that much more, so I'm not worrying about post office and stuff like that. Like I did that with Kobe.
Understood. What grade did you get on that Kobe?
My patch auto grade, I think it was a 9, and I was blown away. The auto was a 10. I did it with Beckett. Because they had a good deal, and it was an expensive card. It is an expensive card. I was expecting an 8. It did have some damage. I was aware of it. But I was grading it to slab it forever, not necessarily for the grade. So when it came back a 9-10, I was like, okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big John asks, is HGA the reason why people don't like new grading companies? You got the scanning technology. Tag is available. You have companies that are giving you more about what your grade is and why you got your grade. Why do you think people aren't embracing that as much?
I think a lot of people are trying to slide not such great cards through, and knowing that they can get a 9 or 10, when maybe the card is a 6 or it is a 5. I would rather have the true graders. I would rather have the AI or the robotic one is just weird for me still. I think it's an amazing idea. It's just weird, and to think that something can go both ways. That maybe doesn't have the eye for every card, even though it's supposed to, is looking at my card and grading it. But on the other hand, you could have somebody who it's a Friday who's already graded 7,000 cards that week and could care less about the card your card at that time. So
yeah,
I actually haven't used Tag. It's not that I haven't wanted to. I just haven't looked into them enough to be like, okay. For me, it's kind of like who's been around longer, who's trustworthy, and I just kind of shuffle out my cards to different places. But HGA, they were really good. When I first met them, was it it must have been Chicago 3 years ago. I loved them. I loved everything they had to offer. I loved the fact that they were going to match the card to your label. I thought that was a genius idea. But when they started turning out to be a PSA and they started costing more than a PSA card, and like their turnaround times were just like PSA, even though they say one thing and it's different, it was kind of like, why am I paying more for this? Why am I paying more for this label that I can't? Nobody wants HGA. I mean, there's probably people out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a bazillion people in the community.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
But
I
people
talked to a
I've
lot of
come
people
across,
about it as well.
Yep. And they're like, I don't touch HGA. It could be a 10, but in their mind, it's a 6. So it's like, it doesn't, I don't know. People say it doesn't hold its value. So I just go where people would want a card if I were to sell it.
Understood. Hey, Machado, thank you. Machado says, like up chat. Can we get to 10? Thanks for tuning in tonight. Show some love. Appreciate y'all. He also wanted to give you a shout out earlier. Where he says, FD, my guy, welcome, Sarah. Let's go. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and your perspective.
Thank you.
So, what should do you get into sports? Do you watch sports?
Oh yeah.
I had a vibe. So, what's your favorite sport?
Favorite sport's gonna be football, and then basketball's very, very close behind.
So, what do you put Mahomes on the?
Oh God.
There we go. Here we go.
There we go.
Well, you put Mahomes down.
I think got lucky in the Super Bowl. You can come at me and you can hate me as much as you want.
I don't disagree with you.
I think that the 49ers gave up their Super Bowl. But man, I don't know. I overhyped. And I think coming from somebody who people think that, oh, I'm a Daniel Jones lover. No, I'm not. I could care less about Daniel Jones. I'm a Giants fan, but I don't care for Daniel Jones. He hasn't done a whole lot for our franchise.
That's true.
So I'm an Eli Manning fan. So, but I don't care for Patrick Mahomes only because the hype behind him. It's like it's the hype about the whole team, and I know there's people that love the Chiefs, and I'm not bashing on you whatsoever. But I personally don't care for Patrick Mahomes. He's okay. I think he's starting to show his true side, though. I think he's becoming more inconsistent than he has in the past. Now, last year Patrick Mahomes or the year before that Patrick Mahomes, yeah, I would say okay. But I feel like this year he kind of just slid by, and maybe that's how football is now. It's just kind of like you read the other team and you find their weaknesses, which is what you're supposed to do, and you take advantage of it. But I just feel like he got lucky this year, and I don't want that to come across as being bitter, but I don't know. I don't care for him, but I think that he is a good quarterback. Yes, a couple years ago.
Well, you got Brady. To me, Shanahan is the Shanahan. He's with the Falcons. They give up that 28-3 lead, and then he's here and getting the third quarter after halftime. You've shown that you can run the football, but you decide to just pass for a quarter because it feels good.
I don't know. I don't know where he was. To almost go, you went a whole half of a game demolishing the Chiefs, which was amazing. I was so hyped. I was like, yes, I'm excited for the 49ers. I really didn't care if either team won, in all honesty.
Neither did I, brother. Yeah.
But it'd be nice to see the underdog. If you think about that, if you look at it from that perspective, the 49ers were considered the underdogs against the Chiefs, and it would have been nice. But they just blew it right after half, and I was like, what in the heck happened in that locker room?
Let me ask you a question that I've been asking some people. I want to get your perspective. CJ Stroud cards are going through the roof right now, straight up. The graph is almost like this. It's like a rocket ship. What are your thoughts on that? And where do you see Stroud going, or his card prices going, his second season?
You know, not to sound bad, I'm also a Ducks fan, so when I say this, I'm not trying to be, attacking Herbert, but I feel like it's kind of the same situation with Herbert. He just went straight up.
Yep.
The first year, 2 years.
Well, he had two cars in an auction, two separate auctions that went for over $1 million.
And that's crazy. That is, I mean, granted, on a college level, amazing. Can't tell me he's not amazing. But I think on an NFL level, he was still trying to find himself, and he's gotten hurt. He wasn't playing. So for me, it's the same kind of thing. I feel like we buy them up based on what they were at a college level. College is so much different than the NFL.
It's totally different. It looks the same. You wear helmets and shoulder pads, and there's a line with an out of bounds, and you kick field goals. But it's a completely different sport.
All the rules are different. The amount of time played, I believe, is different too. It might be the same now. I can't, because the NFL keeps changing too. But I just I feel like people buy up what he was in college. Now he's in a Texans uniform. Cool. But does he have the support he needs on that line to make him be that top tier quarterback? I don't think so. I think CJ himself could be a top tier quarterback. Yes, definitely. But as we've seen before, Tom Brady drafted last in his draft. Look at what that is. That guy, I don't know what he is. I think he's an alien at this point, because he's just crazy good.
Yeah.
But to sit here and say CJ is that one, I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy talk. I don't buy the hypes. I don't buy the next go around of rookies. I don't get into that. I don't dollop in it, because when they win, because it's a win, it's not a what, it's when they burn out, or when they get hurt in the NFL because they're still playing like they're in the college, arena, then what? You're $20,000, $40,000 upside down, or rookie cards of a team that you don't even care about. That if the Texans are your team, go for it. I support you 110%. But I will enjoy my Eli Manning cards by myself in the corner, because I don't have anybody really on my team right now. Jalen, I guess, but it's just, no, I don't buy the hypes. Can't do it.
I agree. What do you think, going back to the Giants, what do you think your running back is going? What is his name? What's Giants running? Saquon Barkley. Yeah, where's he going?
Not with us.
Yeah, he won't be with the Giants.
I could hope to God he's there next year. But he's also okay, so there's been rumors he's gonna go to Dallas.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And you know what? I told my husband that, because he's a Cowpukes fan and all. There's a lot of animosity during the football season. We don't talk much.
Okay.
No, we do. But he, I said that to him, and he's like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Oh, aren't you?" No, we don't want them. We don't want that. Aren't you excited? And he's like, "No, he's a wash-up," which is a true statement.
Oh, it's a true statement.
Getting older.
Yeah.
He's been in the league a lot longer than most running backs.
Yeah.
But Saquon's a beast.
If he's healthy, he can bring it.
He can bring it, but I would die if he went to Dallas. But I would love for him to go to Dallas. And this sounds so petty of me, but I would love for him to go to Dallas and then not play. That's like a smack in the face.
Okay.
But That's me being petty.
I got you. Machado asks, as a Doug fan, do you collect any Sabrina cards?
I do. I love Sabrina. Sabrina, man, she's amazing.
She is.
So
She
I
is.
don't follow a lot of basketball college because that to me doesn't excite me as much. I follow NBA more than I do, which I don't know why, because that's least exciting. But Sabrina is hands down worth every second to watch. And so, yes, I have about 10 or 15 of her cards that I've gotten slabbed that are for my daughter because it's also an opportunity for her to see what she can become.
Yeah.
That even though basketball is not going to be her thing, but just pursuing your dreams. So
Understood.
yeah, definitely.
Well, what did you think of Sabrina in the 3-point shootout against Steph Curry?
She brought it. Oh my goodness.
She got better than the guys that had just finished. And she
Yeah. She blew me away. She really, really did. I think I'm not gonna say I was shocked, but it's like when you're put in that pressure in that situation. I mean, obviously you can, and they do it all the time, but you're going up against Stefan. Like, come on, he's like the three pointer like god, if you want to say it.
Yeah.
So I was blown away. I think the fact that what she lost by one, I think.
I think he had 29. She had 26, I believe.
Oh, and they counted
like
each
2
one
balls.
as one.
He hit one shot, then he hit his money ball.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what I was thinking. Because in my mind I'm thinking 3 points. But yeah, it was 3 balls. But still, that's crazy. Nobody. I think she shocked everybody because the news afterward was like, I didn't expect that from Sabrina. It's like, why not? She's amazing.
Oh, I
but,
think if anybody said that, don't want to disrespect them, but I don't know how much Sabrina they're watching. If that blew you away, that was the reason why she was there.
Exactly.
And not other people. What do you think of Caitlin Clark?
Oh, man, I think she might be the next Bird. I think that she is a force to be reckoned with. I think she has this kind of demeanor, like, okay, so Angel Reese is very outspoken, very lets you know that she's there.
Oh,
and
she
I
was checking
love
some
that.
people last night at the free throw line. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that. The commentary. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, I was dying. But like, she's very, very strong. You can tell. And then Caitlin Clark is just like this quiet, like not quiet, but like more quiet, I guess you could say. And it's just like, what is, like, she's like just a shooting machine. And she's a silent killer kind of thing. I think she's going places. I know that much. And her cards are through the roof, right up there with Elsa.
Yeah, very true. My guy Kendon has a question here, which is very valid. What about the young lady from USC, Juju?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about her.
Oh, you got to watch Juju.
Okay.
Juju came from LA. I forgot what high school she went to here. She's part of USC now. She's a freshman. She has handles. You and I will be after you get a chance to watch. We'll be talking about Juju. She's an amazing player. She's young, and she's already had some games where she's put up big points and thrown big assists. So
I think
the question is
that's
going to
awesome.
be when Caitlin's there in the WNBA and Juju hits. What is that going to be like? It's going to be
that's going to be crazy.
Oh yeah. Machado asks, did you get to pick up Sabrina's cards in 2020 when WNBA Prism debuted?
Yes, I did. I actually broke a lot of that. Because what's really funny is I personally I like opening, like I said, I open anything and everything. I don't think there's anything that I have not opened other than hockey, just because I'm not a brick and mortar. So I don't have that allocations or network to Upper Deck. But everything else has always been open for me, and I will always open WNBA products. I have no problem with that. I think there's kind of a stigma against it. And whatever. It's like people get upset that there's women cards, and it's like whatever. There's WNBA for a reason. I think that these women are just as great of athletes, and some of them are even better than other athletes. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna open these products. If this break doesn't fill, I don't care. I'm gonna open this box. I mean, I have nothing. I love it. I have nothing to lose.
Well, I love the game itself, and I was listening
Yeah.
to a podcast the other day. Evan Turner and Andre Iguodala.
E.T.
That's right. On their podcast was talking about the fundamentals of the women's game and how it's so sound. And men get lazy. They start doing stuff that when you watch a game, you're like, okay, we can't feed the post. We don't know how to dribble at times. We don't know how to pass. Where are we rebounding from? How do we block out? Are we putting a body on a body when a ball is shot? There's this basic stuff that you don't see players doing. You turn on a women's college game. This is why ratings are up. You turn on a WNBA game, and you start seeing some stuff that you don't see.
Yeah, and I will always say this, that I think college ball, may it be football, basketball, I mean even baseball, is better to watch at times because they are playing from their heart more so than their paycheck or their pockets.
Yeah.
And it's more enjoyable because they're trying to become that pro athlete. And for me as a mother, obviously, I love to see where they go. I kind of the evolving, becoming this pro athlete and watching them become something. And a lot of them they're not rude. And that's a lot of pro athletes are rude to collectors. And a lot of college ones aren't.
What do you think of Topps Rip Night that just happened? What are your thoughts on that when you hear about it, or if you've been to one? What do you think of it?
I actually helped co-host the last one, so not the one that just happened this weekend, but the one before that, so the first one. I co-hosted it because it actually was the Friday before our show that we were putting on. I think it's an amazing idea. I think that this is how I am. I give back more than I want to receive. And I think this is an opportunity for a large corporation to give back to the collector. Now, I don't know how I feel about all these athletes going to all these different stores. It kind of shows it shows that maybe these people aren't at a certain status with Tops. But I also know that brings more people into the hobby.
Sure.
So being able to see their favorite player and being able to go to just their local LCS and they could see Tom Brady, like that's what dreams are made of, and that's what collecting should be of. And that's what the hobby should be about. Is the future doesn't end with us. And if we just kill it, then there is no future beyond us.
Yes.
And I think this is how Tops is bringing those people into the group, and it helps kids relate with their parents. And I don't know, I think it's a great idea. I just know, like, us personally, in Montana, the stores that I saw that were participating, which I believe was only 2. There's not many here. But there's only 2, and I know one had NIL players from the Bobcats signing, and then the other one didn't have anything. So it's kind of like, so how does that go about? How do they figure where they put a player? That's like, just for me, because like that's how I am. I always just think of like how our pawns moving throughout a chess game. And so that was what was interesting to me. I think it's a great night. I think it's an opportunity, like I said, that anybody and everybody can meet somebody. But I think they need to hit the North 48 a little bit harder, because there's not, we're just kind of hanging up here and we're having to prove ourselves more and more.
Understood. I know there were some people that were saying, hey, I don't know why you have athletes at all coming to these events. I didn't quite understand that. If you want to introduce something that has a focus to it, I look at cars as a focused area of the entire sport. How do you get other people involved in that? It's by showcasing something that's universal. Tom Brady, out here, James Harden came to a shop. The Carolina Panthers,
Young.
Bryce Young came out. You have people from all over. All these people are affiliated with Fanatics. If you look at the White Party from Michael
Rubin.
Yeah, pretty much he sent out people to go, let's go kick it and get the word out. And those people went out and did a fabulous job. Bryce Young was taking pictures with people and,
And I think that's amazing. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
It really, really should be about that because, I mean, to take something from a cardboard piece of paper and be like, holy crap, this person that's on the cardboard is literally in front of me and I could say hi to them. That just, as a kid, that just blows your mind. And that makes you want to dig deeper into collecting. That makes you want to be digging deeper into the community. And I think that once you light that fire, it continues to go, but you have to also feed it. So you have to embrace these different avenues. And I think that as much as the athletes in some sense are kind of like, how do they determine where they go? I do think it's a good idea to bring more people to draw in. I just wonder, do you have to spend so much money to get an athlete type of thing? So
we were kind of thinking that in the crowd too. Like, how much does this cost?
Seriously.
We were all kind of talking amongst ourselves and kind of running some numbers. But Chalo says, fun fact, I got my mom into collecting and now she loves the whole WNBA, especially the Aces, and she rocks Sabrina's hoop shoes. I mean, this is, to me, when we talk about sports, we talk about family. If you ask most people why you root for a particular team, probably has something to do with their family involved. More times out of 10 than not. My father, my mom, my cousin introduced me. I went to my first game with my uncle and my aunt, and
it's supposed to be a community for a reason. It's not how much money you have in your pocket. It should be literally a community. Like, I have your back, you have mine. You collect this team, but I collect this team. So we can come together for one thing, which is collecting and being a collector. And I think that's where we're losing our grasp of collecting and being a community. And I've seen it slowly just with all the negativity and all the attacking. It's like nobody's gonna want to join that. And I think I think you hit it right on the nail right there. It's just definitely it's taking your kids to a college game or high school game or pee-wee game for all of that. It's putting that foundation in them. Plus, I think sports help kids with being better people in the long run. Now, it can go either way.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Working with others, collaborating, working on one goal, pushing someone or picking someone when they need it. These are all good attributes. A lot of times, even at work, you pretty much know, or you can find out somebody's background, and you kind of can understand. Yeah, that person did something, or was on the chess team. It doesn't even have to be I'm running to a whistle. There's a lot of collaborative things that you can do that support certain attributes within a person. So,
agree.
Machado says, Sarah, preaching tonight. I've learned a lot about you in this time that we've been on. I did not know.
Oh, well, I hope it's good.
Y'all, it's all good. This is why you came. People was like, yeah, you got to talk to her. Yeah, we definitely got to have you back on here. Michael Rubin got his connects, people posting and tweeting about sports. And that's the thing about this, too, because through social media, you can also reach people that weren't even in attendance. Did y'all see Kim Kardashian post on story a while back? Yeah, this is what it's all about. You try to get different people involved, and you get a part of their network to showcase the hobby itself.
Right. And I think, Michael Rubin's pretty much one of the best to bring those athletes into a space where us as consumers and us I consider a smaller collector, can enjoy, like I said, like those players. So when we lived in Portland, we were Blazer season ticket holders.
Okay.
And the Blazers would hold this night for season ticket holders only, and you got an opportunity to meet the whole team.
Oh wow.
And there is something about that interaction that money can never replace, and just be able to like see their goofy side, see who they are off the court as well, because what we see is only a fraction of who they are
Mm-hmm.
and when they play. And so I always enjoyed it. I think they got rid of it before we left Portland, but it was definitely something to look forward to because it gave you that one-on-one connection. Something like I can never afford to have Damian Lillard at any of my shows. Like I do not have that kind of money to ever say, "Hey, yeah, Dame, I'll pay you $1 million to come sit for 2 hours." I don't have that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to still talk to him and have that, take photos and um do whatever, is there's just a whole nother dynamic, and like it makes you feel like a fangirl for a second because it's like, holy crap, like this is never gonna happen again.
Yeah.
And my husband always tells me I have to act professional, and I do not. So
Yeah. Sarah, you keep being unprofessional there. Keep doing your thing.
don't worry, I got
Yeah.
that nailed down to a
You gotta
T.
kick it. Gotta kick it. Big John says Sarah has an awesome podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
Yes. So my girl Courtney from Reckless Carts.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've seen you all. I know this. Go ahead.
So she posted something on her on the Reckless card. It might have been Reckless card or her personal, I can't remember. A couple of years ago, well, a year ago. And she posted it and I was like, let's do it. And she's like, are you serious? And I was like, let's do it. And I don't know what I was thinking. Because I love true crime and I love sports. And she wanted to do a true crime and sport podcast. And so kind of being able to bring together both sides of of things that we enjoy. She loves true crime as well. And we both love sports. So we went on that venture together. It has been a lot of fun. We did take a couple months off, November and December, and January. Just she's busy with her businesses and whatnot, and we were too.
Okay.
And so we took some time off, but we truly love this. Like we take the time to research cases. We come together, we have a discussion, a dialogue about it. And it's called Dangerous Games. And we try to correlate a true crime with a player, or even if there's somebody like who she just did, the guy that was from the I-5 killer. You might not know it, but he was on the Packers for a minute, literally a minute. But so we try to pull things together
Hold
like
up, are you
that.
talking about the linebacker that was wilding out?
The I-5 killer?
Yeah.
Up and down
Yeah.
Washington.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
I know you're talking. Yep.
I can't think of his name. I can see him. But it was like just putting that together. She's like, I had no clue. She was just doing it because she wanted to do the I-5 killer. And some of them don't have ties. And then she found out that the Packers, he played for the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of like, whoa, and it's been a lot of fun. And then we find an artifact, may it be, because some people don't have cards. But I have like pictures of, they're all around my office, but of players that I've done. And then we post that on top of doing our podcast. So it's either we try to find something that has them on it to kind of then be like, hey, look at this is our collection. This is what we're building. So we're building a podcast and a platform, but we're also trying to say and bring pieces and aspects of the sports community as well. So definitely worth it.
Very cool. How often do you have you started your podcast back?
Yeah. I think we've done one that she did a 2-parter. So the second part should be dropping this week. And then we are going to start recording weekly again. for a while there, we were recording weekly, and then before Thanksgiving, we actually did like a 6 hour long. We just knocked out a ton of them, and then just had them all on reserve and ready. So we didn't have to do anything during the holiday season.
All right.
So, yeah.
Very, very cool. Sarah, you got any questions for me?
So what do you do within the hobby, I guess, other than be awesome and everybody loves you.
Thanks.
But like I guess, as a people put me as a tag of being a breaker. What would you classify yourself as, I guess, within the hobby?
I think in terms of the hobby, I'm a sports enthusiast. I'm a content creator. I love talking about sports, so I do a lot of content on Instagram, actually giving my opinions and takes on different things within sports. And I love interviewing people, so I love talking to different people. So I do 2 podcasts, one on Mondays, where I talk to different people in the hobby or outside the hobby about their lives and what their endeavors are. And then on Sundays, JD the Collective and I do a podcast where we primarily talk sports, the hobby, pop culture, things like that.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
So I see you have a Chicago Bulls hat on. Does that mean anything?
Born and raised in Chicago.
Oh.
But I am a Golden State Warriors fan. Big Steph Curry fans, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. But I love sports in general. But I root for, probably in my core, every Chicago team. I mean, I grew up watching Jordan, Pip, Horace Grant, Dennis Rodman do their thing. Since then, I think my little idea is that the Bulls ownership probably is not conducive to that ever reoccurring again.
Michael Jordan era.
Yeah, getting players back, things of that nature. I love the greatness of the Golden State Warriors and what they represent. It's almost like a tweener kind of team where they have a lot of aspects to them that are like basketball that I watched when I was growing up. And then they have a newness to them. Steph shooting the three, Klay, that backcourt just destroying people. It's something that we hadn't seen. We thought Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars were doing something until we saw some people that were really doing something. Steph, to me, is the greatest point guard of all time. Some people think Magic Johnson. I can respect that. I just think differently. So, I mean, I think that's kind of me. A lot of people ask us since we first got started, because most people make content to make money.
Correct.
We don't do that.
No.
We try to come with our household. It's a family thing. I take both of my sons out. One of my sons is the editor of all content that we do for the most part. I edit some stuff when it comes to sports takes. And then my son Junior is 8 years old, and he's learning how to meet and greet people and say hello, and how to conduct himself in a large group. Like he went to Bleecker this past weekend, was kind of moving around, breaking some cars, meeting some kids his own age, some people that were older. That's what that's all about for him. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I've always loved talking about sports and being involved in sports. I played sports growing up. And I think I kind of draw from, I always call it the locker room perspective.
Right.
We hear a lot about what people think, but for me, when you're in the locker room, and it's not the only perspective, but you have a perspective.
Correct.
You from within the team looking out instead of the outside looking in. And then how do you feel about that? What do you see? So I try to bring that as well. And not just, to me, if you've been in a locker room, if it's softball, if it's baseball, the dugout, if you've been in a football locker room or whatever it is, basketball, there's a camaraderie that is very similar. And I think that's why you have these networks now, have players. You remember back in the day, if you were a football player, you talked about football.
Correct.
You didn't talk about anything else. But now I think people are starting to realize that these guys have a perspective. And you have if you play to a high level, you have friends and family that have done that in another sport, and y'all have talked. So you have an inside perspective that you can share. So
I think just being able to have that ability to freely speak about anything is amazing too. I grew up playing soccer, so we never really had a locker room because we didn't really leave the field for the most part. But that was my go-to, and so my daughter. You're talking about your kids. I think this is where I feel like this is the next generation. I have had my daughter ask me, Mom, when I get older, can I be a breaker too? And that to me, because like I always question myself, am I doing anything in this hobby other than being myself and providing a service and just being me? But just to hear my 9-year-old say, "Can I be like you and do that?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, you can.
There you
Um,
go.
you can do whatever you want." And then she's got her own table at our shows, and she's over there hustling, selling her Pokemon. Um, it brings out a different side of them. It gives them confidence that they may not already have or they're learning to get. But
Mm-hmm.
my daughter is extremely confident in who she is. She's confident in what she can do and what she can say and how she can, and like you're saying, presenting himself, your youngest, that it's exactly why I brought her around and I've showed her the ways and like, yeah, there, what you don't see is the monetary part of all of this. She has her own account and whatnot, and we just put all of it into that. But and that part of it she doesn't need to know about. She understands like when she sells something that she gets the money, that's hers. But the backing of how all this operates, she knows that it's not, a quarter. It's a lot
Oh
more
yeah.
than a quarter to
Yeah.
run. And but between my husband and I, we have 5 companies that we own, operate, and run solely just the two of us. Um, so she always sees us grinding, and I want her to know that she I have a degree, but she can go get a degree and grind, and she can stay at home and grind. I don't care. I want her to be happy, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's like the best thing is our everybody loves our kids when they meet them at all these shows, and my kids love everybody. They're all their friends too. I have to share Courtney and Manny, and with my daughter, and
Yeah.
but I think it's just you'll have to ask Manny about what Christina from Card Ladder did to him at the Mint.
Okay.
That is a story. He will kill me for even bringing it up. But you will die of laughter. Just long story short on it, he took our daughter, walked her out because at that show you couldn't walk in and out easily, and I was manning my own booth. So he took the lead and took our daughter to go to the bathroom. And let's just say Christina made a big scene about it, and made him feel like he was stealing our daughter in
Mm-hmm.
front of security. And I don't know if Manny will ever do anything for us again because he was
Wow.
mortified.
You got
But it,
traumatized.
it was at that time it was funny, and it still kind of is. We kind of ha 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 about it. But man, seeing Manny's ghost white face coming around that corner, and I had no clue what happened, and I was just dying. And but because Christina knows who he is, and so it
Oh
was
yeah.
just a whole inside joke. And
Yeah.
but it was funny.
I gotta meet Maddie. I haven't met him. We
Mm.
we were at the National and missed each other.
Well, that's
I've
not
met
hard to do with Manny.
yeah, I've met uh
Jeremy?
others, right? I haven't met Jeremy,
Mm.
but I haven't met Manny either. Well, they've been on the podcast and
Yeah.
I've talked to them. So I would love to meet them.
Manny's a good guy. They're both amazing.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they
Yeah.
are both great guys, great fathers.
They have a
We're
great sense of humor.
Yes, Manny is a lot easier to pick on than a lot of people think, but he just lets it roll off his back.
How did you meet them? I've never asked this question. How did you come to know them?
So actually, Reckless, way back, Reckless actually joined a few of our breaks,
Okay.
and what had actually approached me and asked me, how I do breaks, and I'm an open book, and I was like, oh, this is how I did it. I kind of explained it to them. They did some breaking for a little while. That wasn't their forte. And then must have been the National, Chicago National.
Okay.
We met, and it was just like, no, it wasn't Chicago. It was Atlantic City. We met at Atlantic City, and it was amazing. I think I might have met Courtney at some point at Chicago National, but we really met each other, like all of us, Manny, the whole group. I knew Courtney going to Atlantic City, so something happened there. I can't remember. I can't remember what happened yesterday. And I must have met her at Chicago. And then Atlantic City, we went to Cards and Cocktails with yes, I don't remember who does that. Wax Star and I think PWCC was part of that one. And there was a lot of corporate entities, and I was asked to go to it. And Courtney was there. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, heck yeah, this is awesome. And so we were hanging out, and Manny's wife was there. She's only there because there's a casino. Does not care about cards, does not care about any of that. And we started talking, and then it was just kind of like one thing after another. And then we were outside smoking cigars with Cage and doing all that.
Y'all were
And,
kicking it.
we were kicking it hard. And then my boy was there. Oh man, don't ever ask them about this, but what, I can't even think of his name right this second. I'm slipping my mind, but one of my favorite Giants was there. And I lost I fangirled really hard. And then I mean we've been together ever since, and then Mint we reconnected again, and then Chicago once again, and then I think they're going to be in Cleveland. I know Manny is. I don't know about Courtney and Jeremy. I think they are. I think Courtney is.
Okay.
I don't know about Jeremy.
Okay. Well, next year in Chicago, I definitely got to spend some time with you.
Heck yeah, for sure. I mean, if there's any, like I said, I'll be in Atlanta in April for the Tops Industry Summit.
Okay.
So if you're ever anywhere near me, let me know. I know that the big shows are on the West Coast or the East Coast, but
yeah, I know we got Burbank coming up in August. We got Union Marketplace with Delmar coming up in a few weeks here in March. But I was just telling people the other day, I don't know what shows. We know we got the National. I kind of don't know what shows happen on the back half of the year, or if there's something different going on, or that I do not know. But
I think Dallas. I mean, what is it? Dallas like quarterly?
Yeah, it's quarterly. But I haven't been to
quarterly.
that. Have you?
No.
No, I haven't been to that.
And then there's Houston Card Show, which is another big one.
I've been to Houston before several years ago. I think Junior was. I went to Houston in 2016, something like that.
I mean, I almost went because it was lining up on a weekend that I could go, but my father-in-law had a stroke, and so we've been dealing with that as a personal issue in our family.
He's doing better? Okay.
He's doing okay. I mean, it kind of reversed itself, so he's got his functionality back. He never really fully lost it, but he's just really high. I think it's like an 80% rate that he could stroke again in the first 30 days. So that's where our priority has been.
Yeah, wishing him the best.
Thank you.
We got CAB Cars saying, hey, folks. We got Ziggy saying, great guest. Just Mrs. Squirts. Might try a break.
Awesome.
We got Hero 3 saying, push the thumb button. And Big John said he heard Manny tell that story.
No. Oh, my God. It's so bad. Which one? The one with my daughter?
The story about the bathroom and your daughter?
Oh, okay. That's good. Because I was going to say, I hope it wasn't the New York Giant one. Because, it was Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, you met Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, I did. And I met him again afterwards when I was really intoxicated and eating some food. Yep. I don't think he ever wants to see me again.
LT. Oh.
He was, of course, he was in Atlantic City. But yeah, he was sitting there with his manager, and Mandy comes over and goes, Lawrence Taylor's over there. And I was like, no, you're lying. It's like, no, he is. And I looked over and I was like, oh, he is. And was wearing my Apple Watch, which I have a New York Giants band. And me being the little fangirl ran over there. I was like, look, and I'm a Giants fan. And they still make fun of me. That's not what they make fun of me about. It's what I said later on in that night, which is worse. So we'll just leave it at
We'll talk about that offline. I had another question for you. The name Mrs. Squirts. Where's it come from?
Just a nickname. Squirt. I'm short.
How tall are you?
5'3". I mean, to me, that's short.
How tall is Courtney?
Taller than me. She's like 5'7", 5'8".
Oh wow! I didn't know she was that tall. I met her at
5'7".
I met her at the Mint. I didn't know she was that tall.
Oh yeah, it's not like obviously 4 inches. I mean, in some sense, that's
it's
a
big
difference
between 5'3", 5'7".
But no, I was short growing up, and so everybody always called me a little squirt, and so he calls it to me.
Well, FD is my initials.
I saw that.
A lot of people ask me that. Where'd you get FD from? And then my son's name is G, who's the editor, and Machado gave him a shout out. I wanted to show that. Thank you, Machado. Machado has met G. G's soft-spoken guy, but he loves editing. Sometimes you have to pull him away from editing video.
This is passion. Just his passion.
Yeah, it's his passion. He's going to school to
that's
awesome. Edit film, and that's what he wants to do for a living. So I think it was all his mom. So I tell the origin story. We're sitting around and I'm talking about creating a channel and what I would like to do with it, and I'm showing, I guess, people at home my passion. And then April, his mom, says, I think you should get G involved in that. And I was like, you think so? Like, yeah, I think you should get G involved in that. He wants to do editing, and it'd be good for you both to work together, give you a chance to spend more time together. That's why a lot of times in life, you just never know.
Yep.
When I first heard the idea, I was like, yeah, I can see this working. And then you start thinking about, my biggest fear is working with people in your family and it drives you apart.
Yep, 100%.
That was my first thought. Like, I don't want to have a situation where this makes us less likely to hang out than more likely to hang out. And the way this has gone is what we do now is everybody's growing up. So when we first started, G was 16, now he's 19. And Junior was 5, now he's 8. So everybody has their own things they like to do. So we divide up time. So if we go to a show and people are doing something that I like to do, then I make sure that we find out what they like to do and go do that and have the same enthusiasm about it. We're not cutting corners on time. We put the same amount of time in. We had a show for 3 hours or 2 hours. We can be somewhere else for 2 or 3 hours. And I'm not looking at my watch or looking at my phone. I get into it. Yeah, so that's how we spend our time. And then I try to explain to them some of the moves I make and why. And Ms. Squirts, some people may call me unorthodox. I watch sports and I try to make my own decisions. I'm not a follow the crowd kind of person. If everybody's buying athlete X, that doesn't mean I'm going to go run and buy that. Right now, we know C.J. Stroud and Wemby. People are talking about C.J. Stroud and Wemby right now.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. I got to see how they play. I got to see how Stroud comes out and answers the bell in that second season. Because everybody right now, while we're on here, if I'm working for a team, I'm watching film right now. And I'm understanding what he does well and what he doesn't do well. And I'm going to have certain coverages and hide them until the ball is snapped. I'm going to have my linebackers line up a certain way. I'm going to do certain things to mess with him. And that's coming in a few weeks here when minicamp starts, and it's going to come after that when the season starts. And when it comes to Wemby,
his ACL. I mean, then
it
what?
Could be
He's worthless.
But in the hobby, we act like injuries don't occur.
I agree. They're untouchable.
They're untouchable. They just go out and play, and they're good. I mean, many athletes could be named that, and I hate to use the word if in sports, but if they would not have gotten hurt or injured, where would they be? I mean, we got Penny Hardaway. We got, it's a bunch of people we can name
There's
that
so many.
if that wouldn't have happened. We got guys who went out in the NFL Pro Bowl and blew their knee out playing flag football in the sand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bunch of stuff that can happen. So, that's why I just look at Tom Brady. I want his prices to keep going down. So maybe I can afford something.
Well, and that's I feel you there. That's why I was saying it's like, if you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, awesome.
Go
buy
for it.
Wemby. But I think that you're stupid to buy the uptick right now. I think that he's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Like he's crazy good. But he hasn't proven really himself.
No.
And with the NBA, tall guys like him get injured so easily. And
small guards catch hell and big guys catch hell.
Yeah. So what's saying that he's gonna be fine? It's funny you say that they can get hurt anywhere. It's like a Brandon Roy situation for us.
There you go.
Is it Porzingis?
On the rise. You watch his if you pop on YouTube and put, because sometimes I do this, and you pull up Brandon Roy's highlights and kick back and watch that. And
he was amazing.
What would this guy fit in right now? How much money would he make right now?
Man, well, first off, we would probably not. Personally, I don't think we would have ever needed Dame.
No.
If Brandon Roy was still in it. Granted, I mean, he'd be pretty old by then, I guess. But God,
it was nice.
What talent that we lost. And there was another one. It was another one that he slipped and fell in the shower twice. That was a Blazer player. I did it during the season. Blew out his knee. Okay. Recovered from it. Came back for a game. I'll have to find who it was. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Blew out his knee again because that was career ending.
I'm telling you, these things happen.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Are we not supposed to take a shower anymore or leave our house? I mean.
And then right now we look at LaMelo Ball. He fractured his ankle on a non-contact crossover. And he's out right now, and the team won't even answer questions about his health. And he was out.
The big one, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah. I mean, he was a big prodigy then.
Everybody knows that I follow James Wiseman. He tore his meniscus, which set him back. Then he caught COVID. I think he caught COVID before. That set him back. He's still trying to get his development right. I still believe in him. It's going to take some time.
Yep.
Then you got Anthony Edwards. He's come out. He's an offensive guy. He plays above the rim. People say he's Jordan. He's not Jordan. So, I mean, and this goes to this is probably my last question for you, because I think this is a key question. Got to get your point of view. I've been talking recently about we're in a microwave era. People want instant success. Yep. LeBron James came out. He's been averaging 20 points for 20 years. And so a lot of people, I think, walk around and think that the next great, Steph Curry didn't even do that.
Right.
Steph Curry wasn't Rookie of the Year. Right. The next great is going to do that. I argue not. What are your thoughts on just the instant nature of people's mindsets when it comes to athletes and sports right now?
I think that is why there's toxicity in this community. Is that right there is the instant gratification, and it's. Don't get me wrong. If you go pull a slot, you're going to have either instant gratification or instant pissed offness. Like those are your two options. And to sit here and instantly think that the card that you pulled is going to be worth $10 million in 5 days, or you're going to be a millionaire off of a stack of cards. I think that is no longer a hobby. That is a source of income and a complete driven, only focusing on the monetary value of something. And I will not jump bandwagons. I've been a Blazer fan through all the BS because I was born and raised in Portland. I actually grew up being a Raiders fan first. And then when Gannon went out, I left the Raiders because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine that I went to college with, Kevin Boss, played for the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
So he went to the Giants, and I was like, this is cool. So that's where my, people always ask me, being on the West Coast, why do I like an East Coast team? That's my introduction into the East Coast. But I will never be. I'm not a hype person. I collect what I like. And if what I like is the hot person right then I don't collect it right then. I I do what's best for me. And like I don't want to be bankrupting and having 50,000 LaMelo rookie cards in my back pocket that are worth 5 cents because that's
And
not.
now we remember now, when that 2020 product first came out, I was in
Oh
a
yeah.
shop. Someone pulled a LaMelo base out the pack.
Yep.
Was $1,500
Is
base.
I don't get it. So I've always had this issue. So yes, I'm a breaker. I like opening products. I like doing all that. But at the same time, I can't wrap my head around, and this goes with anything as a collector too, where we come up with these monetary values of cardboard. It is legitimately cardboard. It is not like my Kobe ball that I have. It's at least a tangible basketball. This is just a cardboard. Where are we getting? Why $1,500 for a base card? Why? Can somebody please tell me? Because it's not supply and demand. Because there's
No,
enough
it's not.
supply and there's enough demand. So
Well, in
why?
my equation, you have supply and demand, which is a part of
Mm-hmm.
the price, and then you have hype.
Yeah.
And so the
Yep.
hype on stuff gets real. So somebody pressed a button on eBay and said, I'm willing to. Now you can think about how many blips and clicks there are, how many data pieces there are. One person said, I'm going to buy it at that price. And then they set a comp. And then
But
everything runs
why?
comp.
You literally, for $1,500, could do so much more. And I know this is kind of hypocritical of me being a breaker saying this, but at the same time, as a person, I don't understand it. And I have people all the time asking me, why do people buy cardboard? And it's like, well, sometimes there's some sexy men on it, and
Okay,
you
I'm
like
digging.
them.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's some sexy women on them too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whatever floats your boat. But to pay, I think the most I ever paid for a card, and it was a mistake, and I regret it, was $1,100 for a second year downtown Justin Herbert PSA 9. That card was a $900 card, and I paid more because it was at the National. I could not get rid of that card.
Just don't say this. With Harbaugh coming in, that may not be a bad investment.
But I'm just saying that was my oh no moment, because I was just like, I became that person who was like, oh, pick me in the back seat. I'll take the inflated price.
Uh-huh.
And it was because it was Herbert, and that was like, I was making a deal with this person, and they didn't have enough cash, so they're like, do you want any cards? And so to see, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. So cash, I didn't really take cash out on it, but it was like, it still bothers me even today, because it was like, man, I literally do what I always tell myself I'm not going to do or want to be done to me. Like,
But
I don't.
in the car world, I catch myself a lot.
Yeah.
Just on that tip right there, just on that teeter. Do I do something that I don't usually do? I was what was I at recently? I was at a show a couple of months ago, and I'm looking at a card of a player that's like a prospect, and it's not James Wiseman for everybody who knows me. And I'm like, should I buy that? And I had to ask myself in my head. I heard a voice, FD, do you do that? Is that your strategy? You don't do that. Now walk away. You don't do that.
Yep.
So I had to walk away. But if
I
you
wish I
don't
would
catch
have.
yourself sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I'm trying to collect all of the 2021 Goodwin playing cards.
Okay.
And I'm getting them all graded through PSA. And I had a guy at the National last year come up, and he just gave me like some. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. How much do I owe you? Like, it's fine. And then I was like, oh, I'm like, that meant so much to me. And somebody would have been looking at this like, girl, what are you collecting? And then I had somebody else was like, oh, I have like 6 of the cards that you need on the list. They're $300. I was like, honey, the box wasn't even $300. I'm not paying $300 because it's me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's another thing is I do get some short ends of the stick sometimes because people are like, oh, you're a breaker. Oh, you're Squirt. Oh, you must have deep pockets. It's like, no, I want to collect. I'll go on eBay and pay 99 cents for the 7 cards you want to give
Oh
me
yeah,
that you're trying to make me buy them for 300.
I'm with you on
I'm
that.
not stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people have hit me up with some Wiseman stuff before. That's like, come on now.
Thank
No,
you, but no thank you.
yeah, we're not rolling like that. Machado says knowledge is the biggest key in the hobby, especially at shows. And at shows, sometimes you have to fight that impulse feeling. Sometimes even I feel it. Sometimes I can come into a show with a clean plan. Somebody can come up to me with something that's bomb, and I'm like, no, that's not what I'm on today. And it's
Yeah,
no.
that's
Other times it's like, oh, what do I
that's
do
how
right?
I've been. That was me in Chicago. I was like, man, I did not have my horse blinders on. Somebody let me go wild. And I was actually able, I'm helping a guy here locally sell his collection.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 19, I think it's 1949 all the way up to present day completed baseball sets.
Oh wow.
And so we're slowly going through them, and he gave me a list of ones that he wanted better ones of because he had
Mm-hmm.
some, but he didn't like the quality. So I was like, well, give me the list and I'll go to the National and buy them for you. I fell in love with vintage because of just the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I have no knowledge of any of this. So, like, I'm literally, the blind is literally doing nothing but standing there, like, yes, sir, that's. He's like, this is the 1971. I was like, sure, sounds good. I don't know what they look like. Let me Google it, because, like, that's my generation. I don't know what the 1970 baseball cards look like. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but then they started talking to me about it because I literally was that girl that was the dumb one at a vintage. And they're like, no, let me explain it. And I was like, wow, such polar opposite compared to nowadays who are selling cards. I'm not saying all of them are great, but most vintage are like, let me help you, let me explain this to you. And all modern is more like either you know or you don't know. And it's
Well,
like,
and a lot of modern, I talk about this with some people. The key term is that you got cooked.
yep.
Let me cook
Oh
you.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, which
Yep.
is one of the worst terms in the hobby. But
It is, but it happens more time than
oh yeah,
not. I mean, you people collect what you want, collect what you believe in. What you believe in, not what somebody else is telling you, not what 20 other influencers are telling you.
true.
Do what makes you happy, collect what makes you happy,
True.
and only do that. And at the end of the day, you have nobody to be upset with because you should be happy because you bought what you wanted and not what 1,000 people are posting online to tell you to buy. And I think that's where the disconnect is that we use social media on a positive and a negative, and people have to make their own decisions themselves, but some can't. And they rely on the influencers and the information that's given to them to make their decisions. And I think then they are grossly upset when they blow an ACL.
Mm-hmm. Or they just
So,
get benched from poor play.
or they go to the G League
That's right.
or Canada. Yep.
Machado says FD facts. Haha. Might want to get that Herbert ready to sell. I'm telling you that Herbert may not be. That may be something.
I've got like 5 or 6 Herbert cards. So I won't sell it.
You
Herbert
shouldn't.
is my boy.
Yeah, you should. You should hold on to that. Herbert's about to do something. First thing
I
they
hope
asked,
so.
what is he going to do with that team? He said, get a running back.
Harbaugh came from the 49ers originally. Is that
That's
correct?
right. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Play
I
with.
think that it's going to be awesome if it works, but
Oh, they're going to do more. All I can say is this: barring the injury, they're going to do much more than they've ever done.
I hope so.
There's going to be a
I hope
tight
so.
offense. There's going to be a running back in that offense. We're going to be a backup running back in the offense, and there's going to be a receiver on each side of the field that he can go to that won't be hurt every other week.
God, That sounds like heaven.
It's
And I'm not even a Chargers fan.
And he's going to drop back and put the ball somewhere that he's going to have stats. Will he win? We'll see. But Herbert is about to.
But if he doesn't win, then that's a key thing that's a quarterback issue at that point. If he's given everything and it's all laid out for him and he still cannot perform or get those W's, it's not a coaching issue anymore because it could be still, but the coach has been, changed. You've gotten different players and a different, stronger linemen, or, so then it becomes okay, is maybe this dynamic not right? And maybe you need to go to a different team. I just don't see Herbert going. He's not the biggest quarterback. I just don't know if he would really, I think he'd get eaten alive really anywhere else.
I mean, we'll see. I think it's hard to evaluate where he's been. The coach he had was, to me, horrible.
Yeah.
You go on fourth downs like this is Pop Warner football. So we got to understand now who he actually is. And it's almost like a reset button on Herbert's.
And I hope so. Oh, man, I hope so.
I think you're going to be good. I think you're going to have some celebrations going on. I know you and I will talk about them throughout the season and what's going on with them. For sure. I'm going to tell you, it's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot about you in this time frame. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's mutual.
There's not many people. To me, it's rare for me as a host to have someone on that can talk football, other sports, talk about supply and demand. And I know that you run businesses. I can tell by your speech. You have so many different hats that you wear, and it's appreciated. It's good talking to you. I plan to have you on more often to get your perspective.
Let me know.
Anytime that you have, you tell me FD. I only got 45 minutes to an hour. We can stick to that, but I want more people, even through me. People probably already hear you through your content and what you put out, but your voice needs to be heard a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. I've kind of been the person that's been kind of shy behind the camera the first few years of my breaking career, because I have little babies, and so I wanted to protect them. And
Understood.
I've kind of come out of that shell within the last couple of years, and not necessarily my shell, but just being me and realizing that I've been watching a lot of people around me try to mold something they're not, and I don't want that. I'm not going to conform to something I don't want to be, and I'm just going to keep being me. And if that means tomorrow I'm done in the hobby, then okay. If there's no more for me after 10 years, then okay. I'm just going to be, I know that I'll be okay with it at the end of the day.
That's right. And that's what it's all about. And the next time we see each other, we got to get together at a show or wherever we're at. We'll definitely get together. Machado says, stream. Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to shoot you a follow. He says,
awesome.
Sarah dropped gems tonight, which you did.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to thank you, everybody. This is Sarah, Mrs. Squirts. Now, Mrs. Squirts, before you get out of here, you saw the intro. I know you didn't think you were going to come in here and drop all this knowledge and then get up out of here. I need to know who you're rolling with.
I'm rolling with FD.
I sure enough appreciate you. Thank you very much. Hope you have a great night. Montana, stand up. Mrs. Squirts is in the house.
Trying.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.